worked as a project manager in few startups and have run a startup himself. Okay, so he was working as an assistant professor in the SDM College of Engineering and Technology, Dharwad, for 9 years. He had presented around 100 plus hands-on workshops in various engineering colleges on IoT, cloud computing, blockchain, and Python. Okay, so why he is very eminent means because so he has worked in academia as well as now he has shifted to IT industry. So for many colleges now, so he can fill the bridge between academia as well as industry. So I welcome you, sir, for this session.
Yes,
Mayur
sir.
Patil.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so it's all yours now. You can start.
Yeah. Uh, thank you, sir, for the kind introduction, and I welcome all the participants for this second session of today. Uh, I hope my screen is visible clearly.
Is it is showing Mayur Patil blogspot PPT
.com.
is available?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
So,
so bit
yeah.
louder.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
So I once again thank the management of Malnad College of Engineering, the AICTE New Delhi, and even my management where I work, the client, for giving me this kind of opportunity to share my knowledge on blockchain. Well, I do understand the participants are going through the blockchain. They are hearing the word blockchain from 3rd November till today, and I think tomorrow one more day. So, what is this blockchain all about? I think different speakers surely might have shed light on that. Well, this session is going to be more practical. We will see blockchain in some different way. So, to begin with, may I request you to visit this link so that you also can see the PPT. Well, I will be sharing my screen, but at the your side also you can go through the PPT. So if you go to mayur-patil.blogspot.com, then you can see the PPT. This blog, just to take your few minutes, I am maintaining since last I think 11-12 years since the time I was a faculty at SDM Engineering College. From 2009 onwards, I'm maintaining this blog. So it's like a web-based log. So wherever I go for workshops, I just dump it over here. So that helps people. And even since SDM was an autonomous college, so we wish to maintain a lot of other blogs I maintain for every course. Uh, Java course, cloud computing course, data warehousing course, like that, IoT course. So that way, blocks are very useful even in the COVID times. Better we use something like this. Just a thought of sharing with you, since I was also faculty earlier, and the blogs which I made some 10 years ago, it's helping me now also. Well, coming to the today's topic, if you scroll down in this link, you will come across this. Please click here for PPT link, and the moment you click on this PPT, you will come to this presentation slides. Right. So let's start with this. So some of the slides, some of the content in the slides may be very much same because I got to know from the sir that various speakers have covered on blockchain, on some on Bitcoin, some have covered on hashing, some might have covered on IoT, blockchain, various other concepts. So some of the concepts may get repeated here and there. So kindly bear with me for those things. So this blockchain is for anything that involves peer-to-peer exchange of information. So blockchain is not any specific to any Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or banking. It is applicable for anything that involves the peer-to-peer exchange between two people, no third party, between two people, any exchange of information or goods, data or products like that, there the blockchain is appreciated. And as you can see from the screen, this blockchain something looks like a linked list of data structures. So it is very much similar to linked list. The blocks are linked is what it seems from this slide. Right. So we will be going through in this pattern. First, we'll see what is blockchain. Then we'll see one example wherein we will try to correlate our way of taking attendance in the classroom, physical way of taking attendance in the classroom, rather before COVID times. And if you use blockchain, then how it relates, how it changes, that we'll see. Then we'll have a demo of blockchain with a Google spreadsheet. Then we'll see some aspect of block demo with JavaScript, then Python. Then we'll conclude with some applications of the blockchain. So to begin with, we have to go back to our life how it was before the corona, before COVID. So if we take back ourselves like few months back, before COVID, as a life of a professor, it was something like this. We used to go to the classroom with a yellow booklet, usually attendance booklet, and as a faculty we used to call out the names Mahesh, Ramesh, Prashant, Karan, like that, and each student they used to raise their hands and answer that they are present. So in this example, it's quite this thing that all the attendance is maintained only in the one attendance booklet that is with the faculty. So no other person has this data available. So it is like a centralized server. I am on slide number 4 on the presentation. So I hope the slide is clear visible. It so happened that in one of the presentation, I was just talking and talking. My slide was not shared at all, and I did not ask also in between. So after 5-10 minutes, the participants asked that, "Sir, I'm not able to see your slide." So from that point onwards, two things are very much common in the COVID. Am I audible? Is my screen visible? Am I audible? Is my screen visible? This is what we have to keep on repeating so that we are connected and we are visible. So that's how I'll be repeating. Am I audible or not, and am I connected or not? So I'll be on slide number 5 now. Right. So let's go back to the time before Corona and see how the life was while taking attendance as a professor. So taking attendance in a physical classroom, in a normal class setting, the teacher usually took attendance quickly through our own method. Usually we will call out the names, and that attendance record was safely in your server. Safely, it's like a server. So safely you maintain it in your cupboard, in your staff room. So it is something like a centralized server. No one has access to that other than you. You have a key for that which you'll carry in your bag, or else some attender will take care of that, like that. So, but if the entire classroom we were to transfer it to like a blockchain network, then what would happen? Then every student in the classroom, assume there are 60 students in the classroom, 60 students would be tasked with verifying and keeping their attendance as well as others' attendance. For example, if there are 60 students, student number 1 by name Mahesh, he should also have similar like attendance booklet like the teacher has, and he should also take attendance. So everyone is taking attendance now. Rather, everyone is confirming that the attendance taken by teacher is a truth. So that way, an additional work is given now to the students to keep their own copy. So in total, there will be 61 booklets, 61 copies of attendance records, booklets available. So in the context of a blockchain, all the students are like a nodes in the network. There are nodes in the network. So there are 61 nodes, including one faculty plus 60 students, 61 nodes in the network, no central server, no administrator, no single central authority, nothing like that. So attendance and the attendance of 60 students, that becomes one block. So that block has 60 records which you call as 60 transactions. So 60 transactions of today's attendance, that becomes today's block, that gets added to the blockchain. Tomorrow's attendance, again 60 students whether they're present or absent, and that becomes tomorrow's block that gets added to the blockchain. That way the blockchain set of blocks, chain of blocks, they go in the chronological order, and it's like a decentralized approach. There is no central server. So instead of teacher alone marking somebody as present or absent, that information can only be recorded now. Means that it will be considered as the truth, provided everyone agrees to that. So it is something like our democracy only. So everybody told that everybody voted for Modi. He got a majority. He crossed the magic number, and the same is what is happening currently with the US elections also. So a magic number to be crossed, then only he'll be declared as the winner. So same is true over here. There are a lot of consensus or agreement algorithms available. So one of them is 51% consensus, majority, 51%. So like that, out of 60 students, if 31 students they say that yes, Mahesh is present, then Mahesh is marked as absent. If at all 31 students they say that no, Mahesh is absent, then Mahesh is considered as absent. So that way it is more of democratic in nature. The information can only be recorded. The information will become part of the block only when everybody agrees to that. So it is now declared as the truth. So everyone has the copy of attendance available now, right? And now we can say the recorded information is more reliable, because earlier Teacher was the only whole and sole authority available, one server, centralized server, one administrator. But now it is not so. And even if teacher loses her copy of attendance booklet, there is no loss in that. There are 60 more copies available, and teacher can take from any one out of that, because all copies are in sync. All copies are in sync, right? So teacher cannot give attendance to her favorite student. Say for example, a student by name Rashmi, and she is a teacher's favorite student. Teacher cannot mark her as present though she is absent, because others will object that no, it is not the truth. So that way, other students, they also have now some record, some fact at their side to prove the things accordingly. So in effect, what we can see here is we have got a fair attendance system, much better than earlier. But teacher as such, she lost her central authoritative power. She lost it, and that is given to students as well. It is more of from communist, rather not just analogy wise, central authority wise to democratic wise it went. So the students also have the control over attendance now. So that way we went. So now you might be wondering, blockchain, the word we are hearing last 4 or 5 years, why the industries are not coming forward and embracing blockchain technology, though it is so good, it brings the trust in the system. Blockchain, they say that our belief in system will increase because of blockchain. Despite its benefits, why it is so that people are not embracing blockchain? It is for this very reason. Blockchain ultimately is not for like a profit making technology. Blockchain brings transparency in the system. Blockchain brings transparency in the system, and the current economical situation is largely controlled by the profit what you make, right? So the financial gain. So by shifting the power to the users, the blockchain ultimately favors the end users than the business gain, right? So the business wise there is no much gain, but users get benefited because they got a transparent system. So obviously it is for the government who get benefited. If the government they use this, then blockchain is very appreciable, because government ultimately want to serve the citizens, so they want to bring trust in the system. So company wise, industry wise, we cannot appreciate much, but government wise we can use blockchain and bring a more fair governance and democratic system and serve the people. So that is the reason it's not being embraced in much in other domains by the corporate world. Right. So with that understanding, now this slide number 8. So here we can see an image, and below the image we can see something hash of this image. So there we are using one hash algorithm. Hashing, I think you are familiar, wherein it's a way of giving alphanumeric values to a given data. The data could be anything. It can be an image or a video, it could be a software, it could be some text or URL, anything like that. However big data we give as input, we get the same length of the hash, depends upon whether they're using 128-bit MD5 or 256 SHA-256 algorithm like that. So coming to this slide, this is slide number 8 I'm talking. Let me show you slide number 9. Slide number 9 has got a different hash. If you notice, this hash is ending with 060. This hash ends with E32, right? Though the images are very same, still the hash is different, because for our naked eye, for our bare eye, we may not be able to spot the difference, but the computer can easily see. Even if you make a pixel change in out of trillions of pixels, computer can easily notice that, and it will definitely give a different hash if that input is different. So if you notice over here, there is a spot which is getting changed, right? One spot is getting removed. Here it is there, in the slide number 9 it is removed. So computer was able to notice this, and it gave a different hash to this altogether, right? So that way, the hashing is what we can say here, and this hash is the main backbone of the blockchain. So the blockchain is like a set of blocks. Set of blocks is something like a set of set of bricks, and bricks are the wall is made by using cement. So the bricks are joined together by using cement, that mortar. The hashing is a mortar. So block is in the brick and mortar. There is a brick and cement. In the blockchain, there is a block and hash. Hash joins it. Hash connects it. Hash is a cement. Like that, we can take it. So let's summarize our understanding as of now. Hashing helps the block to connect in a chain that is chronological and permanent. So we can see the blocks are put in a chronological order. So we cannot go back to the previous day and change attendance in the case of blockchain. In the earlier approach, we can go back to previous day and put a whitener and change attendance. But we cannot do so with the blockchain approach, because whatever record is there, it is recorded. So you cannot edit, you cannot delete, you can only append, and that too in a chronological order. So that way blockchain is very rather foolproof and more transparent is what we can say. So coming back to hashing, understanding of our knowledge of hashing, hashing is a way to assign a unique random string of alphanumeric digits to any sentence. It can be a photograph also, or a spreadsheet, or any software also. So you can know if any software is modified by checking its hash value, right? In fact, even if we changed even a single pixel out of trillions of pixels, the hash should be completely different, right? So there are many kinds of hashing functions. If we look at the Wikipedia, we get a big list altogether, right? So we will be focusing on the SHA-256 and MD5 for our MD5 for our needs. So it's a 128-bit encryption. There are 320 bits, 224, 256, 512 bits. So there are a lot of options available. We will be, for our today's session, we'll focus on the Google spreadsheet. We will write a JavaScript for MD5 algorithm, right? So we call it as a cryptographic hashes because they are practically impossible to reverse. We cannot reverse uh, the hash to its original image. In the sense, we cannot give this image as this hash value as input and get back the image as output. No, that way the hashes are irreversible. That's the one side. The other side is that the hash functions are deterministic. For the input what you give, whatever output you get hash value, it is the very same if I do the work, right? Even for the same image, if you take this as input, the image as input, you will also get the same output if you run the same algorithm, right? And the same is true whether you implement in Java or Python or PHP, irrespective of the programming language, irrespective of the number of times you execute, for a given input, the hash output remains same. So that way, the hash functions are very deterministic in nature and they're practically irreversible. So these two are the very strong points which makes blockchain very foolproof, right? So some more information on this hashing. Hashes are deterministic in nature, and anybody using MD5 and hashing a given input will always get the same output, irrespective of the date, time, programming language. When you execute, irrespective of that, we get same output. So the blockchains are great because in the blockchain you uses hashes, and so that the blocks cannot be changed. Otherwise, if you change the block, the hash value will change, right? If the hash value changes, the system will trigger that something is modified. So that way, anyone using running the blockchain, well, all the in the blockchain in the 61 students, 60 students plus one faculty example, all the 61 people in the classroom, they have 61 each has a copy of attendance booklet, and all are in sync, meaning that all records are same. If even though somebody has marked wrongly, that will get discarded. The system will discard that changes, and the network will maintain only one copy, that is the blockchain's copy. Network will maintain one copy, blockchain's copy. So if anybody is modified, that if it is not accepted, then that gets rejected, discarded, and the truth only will prevail in the system. That's how the system goes over here. So maybe you might have already come across the blockchain structure in various presentations. So typical blockchain goes like this. We have a block. Every block has an index. Every block has an index. Every block has a timestamp, and every block has its transactions. And these transactions could be anything. The transactions could be like maybe a person A giving person B some amount, person A selling his car to person B, person A selling his property to person C. So a transaction can be anything between two people, peer to peer. So that goes over here. And there is also we can see the previous hash, means it's, as we discussed, that blockchain is like a linked list. Each block has one of the field which is the hash of the previous block. Entire block, the previous block, its hash value, it is present in one of the data value of the next block. So that continues the entire chain. So if anything changes, everything will get shaken in the entire block. So that triggers some changes and alerts. We also can notice something as a proof over here. Proof means something like the junk value or the nuns, what we call. So we'll be discussing more on this as we evolve in the next slides. So typically, just to revise, a blockchain has this typical structure wherein we have an index, a timestamp, the transactions, then a proof, a junk or nuns value, then a previous hash. The things they go here, and so they're chained, linked together. That's how it goes here. So with this understanding now, what we will do is we will now directly go to Google Spreadsheet, and we will play with the spreadsheet and try to build on blockchain structure in the spreadsheet and work with that. So maybe if you all are working on the desktop or laptop now, you can open your Google Drive and you can go to spreadsheets, Google Spreadsheets. You have to log into, usually Chrome is preferred, and you have to log into Gmail. Then only we can do this, right? So maybe I'll give a moment for you if you want to open, and we can parallelly work with me. Yeah. So what we'll do is, I will now open a spreadsheet. By default, Google Spreadsheet will not contain this MD5 algorithm which I'm talking about. So this MD5, what you're seeing on the screen, slide number 13, it is a JavaScript, and this JavaScript is available in this link. Let me open this link. So you can see here, scroll down, you can see it's a simple JavaScript that takes the input and gives you the hash value of the given input. So we'll go to slide number 15 and we'll go to the click on the demo here. So I have a ready-made sheet available here. From scratch also I'll show how to make it. So what we should ideally do is, we have to, as mentioned in the slide, we have to go to Google Spreadsheets, go to tools, go to script editor. I'll go to spreadsheet. If you're not aware, you have to go to Gmail first. Then from the Gmail, you can easily locate. Let me show it for those who are not aware of this Google Drive, Google Spreadsheet. You have to go to your Gmail. Then you can click on this tiles, Google Apps. Then you can choose your drive, right? That opens the Google Drive. Then from there you can open the let me show you that also. From there you can open a new sheet. You can go to tiles here, then you can go to drive here, right? I'm opening Google Drive, I'm closing unnecessary tabs, which saves my bandwidth. Close that. So my Google Drive is open. Now you can go to new, then you can go to spreadsheet, Google Sheets. That way Google Sheets you can open. It is pretty similar to MS Excel, but the difference being Microsoft Excel remains a local copy on your machine, but whereas Google Spreadsheet is like a MS Excel on the online, on the browser. So that gives you more privilege, more advantages, more powerful. Well, the features wise, MS Excel, the local version is very rich, but most of the industry purposes, Google Drive, Google Spreadsheet meets the requirement. So coming back to this now, Google Spreadsheet. So what we'll do now is, here I will go to tools, then I'll click on the script editor, tools and script editor. So in this place I am going to place the JavaScript. So by default this MD5 function is not available. By default MD5 function is not available. So we can add any of the function as per our need. So I'm just adding a MD5 function now, a JavaScript, and I'll given the name as hash. Then you can save and close it. So now I'll just see here. like FDP blockchain, right? I just wrote a text over here on the row number 19, and here I'll write is equal to MD5. So whatever function we added additionally, that is available now, like any other spreadsheet function. So I'll give this as input is equal to MD5 in 19, and I get the value. I hope all are able to see my Google spreadsheet. I am showing a demo on row number 20. Let me know if you're not able to see this. So I'm on row number 19 on the Google spreadsheet, wherein I gave FDP blockchain as input, and I got the hash value for this input. So here we saw that is equal to MD5 is a new function what we added by going to the tools and script editor and by pasting this code from the Stack Overflow. Right, like this you can put SHA, like this you can put SHA or any other. Right, I'll just give a minute for you to try it out. Yeah, so you should ideally get some output for MD5 input. So let's go back to spreadsheet and let me show you one example with the MD5 what we can do. Right, so what I'll do now is, here is the example of taking attendance while which I was talking. So let me come to this sheet. I hope all are able to see this, sir. Anand sir, my spreadsheet, blockchains working simulation, all are able to see this, sir.
Yes, sir. We're able to see.
Yes, yes, madam. Thank you. Thanks for the input. Yeah. So let me zoom it out. So we discussed in the first slide that we blockchain with the 60 students and one faculty and how it can make sense. So now what we can see here is practically how we can use blockchain for a simulation with 5 students in the classroom with one faculty, right? So I have made this simple arrangement wherein we have here 5 students, Amar, Mahesh, Pooja, Sandeep and Tina. These are the 5 students in the class, and assume they are in 8th semester A division, right? The strength of the student is 5 and they are admitted to this class and the attendance booklet is ready, right? So this becomes the block 0, the beginning block, the first block, and this entirely is your attendance booklet, the list of students for which you have to take the attendance for every class, right? So what we can do here is from A1 from A1 till B13, A1 till B13, you can see here B12, that is our data that we are concatenating and giving to MD5 algorithm. So that way for the entire one block we get the hash value. You can see here this B13 is equal to MD5 concatenate of A1 to B12. So entire block 0 that is now hashed and we get the value here. Same is true for any other block. Entire block, say for example this hash value, it is D1 till E12. This entire data from here to here, that is hashed, right? So coming to block 0, block 0 we call as a genesis block. Block 0 we call as a genesis block, list of students in the classroom, strength 5, and with this booklet you go to classroom, right? So now we'll try to take attendance for these students. So initially everyone is, there is no results initially, there is no value, right? As a faculty, now you have to call out the names and take attendance. So this is a, assume this is the first day of the class. This block 0 is the attendance booklet given, block 1 is the today's attendance, assume like that. I have given the date as 18th August, assume sorry. So just for illustration purposes. So as a faculty, what you will do is you will mark Amar as present. Amar as present. You have to. Just give me a moment.
Mayur? Hello? Mayur? Mayur Patel? Hello?
I'm so sorry. I think there is some network issue, it seems. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think my screen is visible now. Yeah. So as a faculty, now let's start taking attendance. So what we'll make is we'll mark Amar as say Amar is present. So teacher says that Amar is present. So what we discussed is that not only teacher is taking attendance now, even everybody else in the class also should take attendance, right? So Amar also tells that yes, Amar is present. I am present, he says, and Mahesh also says that yes, Amar is present. Pooja says, yes, Amar is present, right? And Sandeep also says, yes, it's a truth that Amar is present, and Tina says Amar is present. So we got here 100% people saying that, yes, it's a truth that Amar is present. Earlier, teacher was the only whole and soul deciding. Now, everybody else also has now the responsibility to take attendance and maintain her copy. This is teacher's attendance copy. This is Amar's. This is Mahesh's. Like that, everybody has their own copy available. Now coming to Mahesh attendance, teacher says yes, Mahesh is present. Amar says Mahesh is present. Mahesh also puts himself as present. Pooja also puts. Say if Sandeep doesn't like Mahesh, and he may say no, Amar is not present, right? Tina also say Amar is not present, but it will not have any impact on this. We can see it's 67%, and we are raising for illustration one of the consensus algorithm, which is called the 51%. One kind of consensus. We have some 13 to 14 different kinds of algorithms available. This is one among them, right? Then coming to Pooja's attendance, say Pooja is actually absent. So teacher will mark Pooja as absent. Amar also will mark Pooja as absent, and Mahesh will mark Pooja as absent. Pooja, say assume that she tries to put a proxy for herself. She will try to rather somehow she got access and she tried to put herself as present, right? And even Sandeep will say it's a truth that she is absent. Tina says absent. So we can see majority of people, they are saying it is absent, so it will remain as absent only. You can see the blockchain record is absent only. Coming to Sandeep, so assume that it's a truth and everybody agrees to that truth, right? Same is true with the Tina. It's a truth, she is present, everybody agrees to that, right? So with this, the attendance is completed, but now it may so happen that this is the final copy of attendance. This is the final copy of attendance, and you can see teacher's copy is in sync with the blockchain's copy. So this gets retained. Amar's copy is in sync with the blockchain copy. Mahesh's copy is correct, but Pooja's copy is not in sync with that. So this will be replaced. So she will be asked, she will be forced to discard her copy and take a sync from network's copy, right? Same is true with Sandeep, same is true with Tina, right? So that way, everybody should now have the same copy which is agreed upon. So whatever they had put on their own, that discarded, and network copy is what the total final copy is all about, right? So that's how it goes here. This is as simple that the blockchain is all about. So we can see this is the, we'll get a block for this also now, the hash for this. So we can see if you go to E13 cell, we can see it is equal to MD5 concatenation of D1 to E32. D1 is here, D1 is here, and E12 is here, right? This entire value is concatenated, E12 is concatenated and given as input to the hash algorithm MD5, right? And this becomes the hash, and this hash is, and you can also see this hash value is available over here. The previous hash value is available over here, right? Say if you change the student name here, it is only Amar, and if you try to do Amar Desai, then system will trigger alert that it is not the truth because you modified the value. So in the blockchain, the modification is not allowed. In the blockchain, the modification is not allowed, right? Everybody should agree to the modification, else it is just discarded. And if any modification everybody agrees, then it will be added as a new block, not as a correction in the existing block, right? I'll just wait for a while here. If anyone has any queries, I would be happy to answer. Any queries? Yeah. If no queries, let me quickly summarize this. So in short, this MD5 is an algorithm 128-bit encryption, which is not there by default in the Google spreadsheet. It is added as a separate JavaScript by Google to Tools and Script Editor. So we can add any JavaScript code over here as a function, and you can add SHA-256 algorithm function also. Any function you can add over here. That function becomes available in the Excel sheet here, like this, as a formula, like any other formula. So with that, we came to this sheet. Well, to be very frank with you, I think this is my 14th or 15th blockchain presentation. I referred various articles and all those things. Then I thought, let me give my own example. So I cooked this example with a small demonstration with Google spreadsheet by combining some data. And with every presentation I got a lot of inputs. With that, I again make it better and better. So the version is available like this, a small simulation of the spreadsheet, simulation using spreadsheet on the attendance, which you all are familiar with. So that way, I'll be sharing my knowledge with my own examples like that, so that it is more appealing. So I hope it's making sense. This is called as a block 0. This is block 1, like that, block 2, block 3, block 4, like that. It goes for entire semester of 52 classes. and block 0 is called Genesis block, the first block. And for illustration, you have taken only 5 names here, and every block will have an index, block 0. Every block will have the transaction data. Every block will have the previous hash. In the case of Genesis block, there is no previous block, so it is 0. Every block will have a timestamp. You can see some date is given here, the date of admission in this case. Every block will have a junk value, nonce value, which in this case is 1, in this case is 12. We'll see it later what exactly it means, how it affects. Then we have the hash value for the entire block. So this the block, this is cement, so totally combined together it becomes a good foolproof system, right? So the first day of the class, block 1, you took attendance and you saw that teacher alone is not taking attendance. Teacher has his copy, Amar has his copy of attendance, Mahesh's copy, Pooja, Sandeep, Tina, everybody has their own copy available. And if the whatever democratic way of taking attendance is there, 51%, it should cross 51%. Then only it is taken as the truth and it enters in the, it becomes part of the blockchain. It becomes a block in the chain. Else we can see others will get discarded and they'll be forced to take the network's copy. So that's how the blockchain is very behind the scenes. This is how it goes, as simple as that, right? So with this understanding, we'll now go for the next slide. Right. So if the blockchain, they are the bricks, then we call hashing as the cement or the mortar. It's a magic sauce that holds the blocks together. So changing a single character anywhere, changing single character anywhere will result in a completely arbitrary new hash. We saw Amar was their name. We just modified as Amar Desai. The system triggered an alert that something got modified. And we can see that blockchain is a ledger of transactions. In this particular case, the blockchain is all about taking attendance of 5 students, right? It can be a transfer of some amount, some land, any peer-to-peer. So blockchain is all looking like a linked list here, right? The first block we call a Genesis block, and the hashing is giving the fraud protection, right? If anything gets modified, value will change and the entire network will know. And if it's a truth, they accept it, else they discard it. As simple as that. This MD5 we can do even in the Python also. Let me give the same example. See, for this case, for FTP blockchain, FTP on blockchain, we got this value. We will try to do the same thing for using Python. So let me import. I will go to, I installed Python on my laptop. I will import hashlib, right? It's a library. Then let me give this. So for this data, we'll give the same data what is used over here. Right. FTP blockchain, same data I'm giving. Then we will get the hash value of that. Right. Then we'll print the value and see the results. Right. So we can see here, compare the hash value, it's pretty much the same. A4 beginning with A45E7A, A45E7A ending with B61, here B61. So what I'm trying to show here is that whether you do in JavaScript or whether you do in Python, for a given input of FTP blockchain as the text input, string input, the output is same, irrespective of the programming language or the platform. All right. So that's how the hashes are deterministic in nature, and it's irreversible. You cannot take this back to this value, right? Fine. So with that, a thought may come to you then, if blockchain is something like a single network copy and something like a database only, it looks similar to database only because we are able to put data. But now the thought may come that how it is different from the database, actual database. So we can see from this slide, we can directly compare the blockchain and traditional database. So as we understand from the taking attendance example, without blockchain, something like a central server, teacher is a server, and she has the whole and sole control of admin username password. Only she can modify the attendance records. But if we come to the blockchain, there is no central server over here, right? So that becomes the first difference. Traditional databases, they use the client server architecture. The client can log in, like teacher can log in, authenticate himself, herself. She can modify data, which is stored on centralized server, her attendance booklet. But whereas the blockchain consists of several decentralized nodes. In a class of 60 students, there are 60 computers, there are 60 nodes in the network, but none of the computers is an admin or a server. All are normal nodes, right? All normal computers, and each node participates in administration. Rather, none of them are admin, or everybody is admin only, we can say. But nobody is more powerful than any other thing. All the nodes they can add new transactions. As we saw with attendance, Amar is able to mark Mahesh as present. Mahesh is able to mark Pooja as present. So everybody is able to contribute. Everybody is able to vote in a democratic process that way. But whether it is taken as a block or not depends upon the consensus algorithm, right? So for that addition to be made considered as in the blockchain, for the block to be added to the chain, appended to the chain, majority of nodes must come to some conclusion, some general agreement, like in democracy. So that's the first difference. The second difference is, in the case of traditional database, we have like a CRUD operation: create, read, update, delete, uh, in the database, like MySQL, SQL Server, like that. But whereas in the case of blockchain, it's not like that. We can only append. We cannot update any previous data. We cannot delete. You can only append the new data that gets chronologically, that becomes at the new, it gets appended to the end, right? All the previous data is permanently stored. You cannot go back and update or edit anything or delete anything. No, that is not permitted in the blockchain network. So that's the second difference. The third difference being, uh, anybody with sufficient access in the case of traditional database, he can destroy and he can corrupt. So for example, in the case of a normal attendance, teacher can modify somebody's attendance on her own. Nobody will come to know ever, because she is a whole and sole custodian of that attendance booklet. But in the case of blockchain, since it is decentralized, this issue is not there. So the security is there in the very much in the structure of the blockchain. And the last one is, the blockchain is applicable for only peer-to-peer, only some kinds of information, whereas the traditional database, it is for any kind of data. So database actually allows lots of different varieties of data, but it is not true with the blockchain data. Only peer-to-peer transaction makes sense, right? So that way it goes here. So now the thought may come to you that which are the popular databases which we can consider. Then here is the MongoDB is the one which is a possible open source object oriented database available for blockchain. Apart from that, we have FlurryDB, BigChainDB, Ethereum, Hyperledger, and Amazon has come out with Amazon Quantum Ledger database. Mastercard is also available. Azure has its own. Big technological giants, Amazon, IBM, Microsoft, Google, they have their own platform available for the blockchain. So if you want to do something which for the research purpose or for academic projects, then MongoDB is highly recommended. Right. So we refer to something known as consensus algorithm. So we have actually 13 different algorithms consensus. So we will be discussing something known as proof of work, POW. But apart from that, we have something known as proof of stake. We have proof of capacity, proof of burn, proof of identity, proof of importance, elapsed time, stake, graph, fault tolerance. Like that, there is a big list available, right? Right. Now, what we can do now is we can now play with the. Maybe I request you to open this link, demo link. I'll be just dumping this link in the chat. I think chat is disabled for me.
Yes, chat is disabled. It's only for available for me.
No issue, sir. I wanted to share this link so that even participants can play with the blockchain.
Okay, if you mail me, I'll going to share it in the chat box.
Sure, we'll do that, sir. Yeah.
Okay, you mail me now. I'm going to share it the chat box now.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
I'll drop in a WhatsApp, sir. Is it okay in the WhatsApp link if I do? WhatsApp group.
Okay, the same thing that I'll want once again. I need to. Okay, so whichever that you
Copy
feel
from there.
comfortable, you do. I'll
Right.
going to
Yeah.
share it in the.
Right. Right, sir. Yes, sir. I have just dumped the link in the chat also, and even mail also. I'll be replying to you, sir. Yeah. I just replied in the mail also, sir.
Okay, I'll going to mail my.
Sure, sure, sir. Yeah.
You send it through mail. I'll going to.
Mail and WhatsApp both have sent, sir. Both have sent.
Okay, you sent right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll going to share it in the chat box now.
Sure, sir. I'll just wait for a while till everybody opens the link, sir. Yeah.
Wait. Then. So they can open in their WhatsApp also, right?
Yes, sir, it works. In mobile also it works, in email also, sir. Or
So then
desktop,
I'll going to
laptop
share
also.
it in the group itself only.
Done, sir.
In WhatsApp group, na Atal WhatsApp, everybody is present in that group. So I have shared.
Yes, sir. Yes, okay, sir.
Okay, so I'm waiting for to send it in the mail also chat box. Have not received until now. I have received.
Yeah. So got this link now, just demonstrating these links. So whatever we saw with the Google spreadsheet, it's what I made it with some jugaad by adding something of my own, something like that. But here is something available over the net, which you call it as it is made using JavaScript and Angular JS as front end. Yeah. So we can see here. You can just go through this. It's available for anyone. Anyone can try it out. So we can create transaction here. The first thing,
I have
and
shared in the link in the chat box also. The participants can use this. Okay.
yes, yes, sir.
And
Yes,
I've
sir.
shared in the WhatsApp group also.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So coming to this tool. So what is this tool? So this tool is something like it gives the ability to look behind the scenes of a blockchain. Blockchain के पीछे क्या होता है? What is happening in the blockchain? Blockchain ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ actually ಏನು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ? So that we can see here. So here in this tool we can create transaction. We can create transaction here. We can mine the blocks. So what is mining? We'll see how they all work together, and we can even make some transaction here. It is not the actual Bitcoin, so don't get scared. It is only for demo purpose, right? We can mine the block, we can tweak the settings and see the effects. So don't worry, just you can feel free to play with this. Somebody by name Savji, he is very generous to having put up in the GitHub and made it available for our usage. So we can see the block 0, it is here, it is called as block 1. It is a genesis block. Here this is a genesis block, and then we can see it has a hash available. Hash for this block, previous hash is 0 because there is no block before this block. Nonce is 0 and timestamp is added over here. There is no transaction in this block. Coming to block 2, here the hash value, we can see the hash value, it is for the block 2, and even you can see the block 1's hash value CD1 is available over here. It's a block one's same color is available here. Nonce is a junk value of this, right? And then we have here the transaction. So as of now there is only one transaction. So what we'll now do is we will create transaction. I will go to create transaction. So once again, nothing to worry, it's not a Bitcoin we are playing with, it is not any cryptocurrency, it's just a demo purpose, a blockchain. So I'll click on the create transaction here, and this is my public address, it's a wallet address, right? So from that I will say to Karthik, a person by name Karthik, I'll say I'll transfer 1000 rupees, right? And I'm sign in and create, means in the case of Bitcoin, it is anonymous, but in this case, we will know from whom the transaction is made and to whom it is made, right? So some transaction I made. So I did not spend 1,000 rupees from my pocket. It is only for demo purpose. Okay. So again, I'll go to create transaction. Then say, for example, to Ramesh, I'll say 5,000 rupees, right? Click on send in and create. So as such, now if you go to, we have now 2 transactions now, right? And we can mine the transactions. So if you go to pending transactions, these are the pending, which 2 transactions are pending. From this person to Karthik, 1,000 rupees is transferred at this time, right? From this person to Ramesh, 5,000 is transferred, right? This is how it goes. Start mining. So what is mining here? As of now, let's not worry about that. Just click on this button and see what happens. So as soon as it did mining, a new block came into picture here. So if you click on the block 1, I'll see the transactions in block 1. Block 1 has no transactions, the first block. Block 2 has a transaction wherein system has 100 rupees available for demo purpose, right? Then if you look at the block 3, we have here 2 transactions which I made now, 2 transactions. To Karthik, to Ramesh, I spent something and I only did a mining. So system gave me 100 rupees reward, right? Because of the mining. So what is the mining is all about now? What mining I'm talking about? We'll try to understand in a while. So that's how the
Hello?
blockchain goes here. Hello, yes, madam.
Sir,
Yes.
sorry.
Any query to be answered, madam? Yeah, I think it was by mistake. No issues. So block 1, block 2, block 3. So after mining, the block entered the chain and now we have 3 blocks in the chain, block 1, block 2, block 3. Like that we can go on adding new blocks. And the only thing now what remains unanswered is what is the chain, or what is this mining all about. So the mining is all about to ensure that the blockchain is valid. So what is the meaning of blockchain is valid here? Blockchain is valid is all about if you loop through the blocks, if you loop through all the blocks one by one, we should be able to, if we find out the hash once again by using the same MD5 algorithm, we should get the same value. So if I give this as input, for example, in this example, what we discussed, if we compute the hash once again from here to here separately, see here, I have done here from A1 to B12, once again I computed the hash on a separate cell and I got the same value, right? So here also, if I compute the hash value once again from here to here, I should get the same value. So one of the tasks of a miner is to ensure that the block is valid. How the block is valid? Compute the hash once again using same algorithm. Check that you are getting the same value. That way, that is one way of checking the block is valid. The second thing is that you have to check whether the blocks are linked properly. So what does the mean of linked properly? We can see here this block zero's hash value is available over here. So this if else condition need to be checked. We have to loop through all the blocks of the chain and check that the previous block's hash is present as one of the data in the current block, and this continues, that the chaining is maintained. If these 2 checks are in place, then we can see that the blockchain is valid, right? So that's how the validity of the blockchain goes. And anyone has any queries on this? As of now, any queries to be answered? Yeah. If there are no queries, let me quickly show you some JavaScript based blockchain. Then let's conclude with the application of blockchain. So I have here some 5 programs. I'll be running one after the another. So you can just see on my screen here, I have defined a block with a Java class, JavaScript class. It has the same structure. It has an index, it has a timestamp, it has a data, previous hash, and the current hash, right? And that defines one block, the architecture of one block. What is calculate hash? Calculate hash is very same as what we did over here. MD5 we did, and we did concatenation of all the value. Same is true over here. I am concatenating index plus previous hash plus timestamp plus data all together. Well, in this case it is MD5, but in the JavaScript example what I am showing in the Visual Studio Code, that is chart 56. which I'm adding here like this, right? So these two will create a block and compute its hash. And here we can see for this example, the blockchain is nothing but an array. I'm not using any database over here. I'm just using a in-memory array, like in the RAM, just a list amount, a list of blocks. So you can see just a list, square bracket list is used over here, right? And the first block is called Genesis block, the 0th block or the first block, which has no previous blocks, right? So there are some handy functions like get latest block, add block. Get latest block will give stack top, like length -1. So this is nothing which is very similar to the linked list, right? Add block will add a new block, it will get appended. So with that structure here, we are running it as blockchain add block one, this value. So what is one here? This one is the index. You can see one is the index here, right? The constructor, and the timestamp is the date we are giving, right? Then the data, in this case the data is amount of 4 rupees, first block. Second block, amount of 10 rupees being transferred from our account to some other account, like that. So that way we are making the transactions, and let's run this and check how it works. So to run this, I'll just type node 1 dot like this, right? We have to install Node.js for this. What software to be installed I have mentioned in this PPT here. So you have to install Node.js, the link is given. You have to install the library Crypto.js, then you can try this code, right? So when I run this code, we are getting this output. You can see the first block is the Genesis block that is created. The 0th block, it has here the same 01012019 Genesis block, previous hash is 0, right? So that is the first block in the chain. Second, we have what transactions we made now. We made 2 transactions now by using 4 and 10, amount 4 and amount 10. We can see amount 4 is 1 block and amount 10. So if I show you, it looks like this. Chain index 0, index 1, index 2. In memory, array is made, array of blocks. Each block is an element in the list. So like that it goes, right? And if we now go for the validity of the blockchain, so as I mentioned, validity is all about running a for loop and checking with 2 conditions, whether the current values hash, if it is not equal to the current values hash which you compute once again freshly, if it is modified, then the block is invalid. Also, if when you are running through the loop, check the previous hash value, what is present as one of the data, and the previous actual hash value. If it is modified, the block is invalid, else the block is valid. So this will run across the loop for all the blocks one by one. So if we were to run this, so it goes like this: node 2 dot this value, and it shows initially the blockchain is valid, right, as earlier, but now I just modified the value 4 as value 5 and computed the hash once again. If you then it says the blockchain is invalid because some data is modified. You can see the first program, second program differ only in this. First program just ends here, second program adds these 2 new lines and a function to check if the chain is valid, because we added 2 new lines here and we added the value 4 as 5. If I make it once again 4, if you make it once again 4, then we can see, right, it says true and true, because even after modification it is nothing modified, only the 4 is maintained as 4. So if you loop through the block, all the blocks one by one, the conditions are satisfied. So that's
So there is a
satisfied.
disturbance in your background. It's you only your mic. It has been unmuted. So can you please check it once? Say
Yes,
baby voice.
sorry sir, my daughter is making some noise. I'm so sorry for that, sir.
No. It's not like that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very challenging for me also, for even for my office work and for demo purposes, because it's very difficult to ask her to keep quiet. Yeah, I'll just see. Yeah. Yeah, with these 2 examples, if they're clear, then we can go to the next example, wherein I think we can directly see with the mining. So what is this mining, and why is to be paid? Why is the reward for mining? So the mining is all about the miner who has a computer, who has a net connection, he is taking trouble to go through all the blocks and check that the blocks are intact, the blocks are connected properly, and the hash values are taken properly. He has to first ensure the existing block is proper. Then he has to add a new block to the chain. That way, he is putting his effort, he is putting his computing power, and he gets rewarded. And now here the interesting thing is that one question which remained unanswered. What is the nonce or the junk value, what we discussed all about, why we need it? So for that we should see this example. So it so happens that coming to this blockchain example, say Pooja, this student, say she is actually absent, but she tries to hack this attendance and she tries to mark herself as present. It may so happen that she get access and she may modify it. So it shouldn't happen this way actually. And even this is 8 semester A divisions attendance. So what about B division students wants to mark somebody as present over here? So that way we should make it difficult. Say for example, Karan actually belongs to 8th semester B division, but he wants to poke his nose into this and he wants to modify the attendance, right? Modify the attendance. So for that, system should not actually allow him. So in the case of blockchain, in the case of Bitcoin, what they have made is they make the addition of new blocks, they make the creation of transaction difficult, they make it challenging, so that it should not be easy, it should not be easy for others, right? So like that they make it difficult. How they make it difficult? For that there is something known as difficulty level. So there's a new parameter added. What is this difficulty level all about? This difficulty level is all about putting a condition on the hash value that is created. What is the condition? The condition is that in the case of Bitcoin, if we specifically talk, they say that the hash value should begin with fixed number of zeros. Fixed number of zeros. Say for example, I'll say here the difficulty level as 1. It means anybody who is contributing the new block should ensure that the hash value what we get should has at least one value should begin with 0. So let me show you this example. Difficulty level 1. This is example number 5. Right. So you can see here difficulty level is set as 1. So earlier we got this hash beginning with FF, then we got beginning with 5F. It was discarded because the difficulty level is set as 1. It means it should at least begin with 1 0. It should begin with 1 0. So this hash value is discarded, this value should discarded. This value is allowed. So the block will only be mined if it begins with 1 0. That is one of the rule. Some blockchain people may say that they have set a rule for themselves that the block should begin with the block should begin with like a 3 zeros, right? If 3 zeros, what happens? Right? See here, it takes so much time for me to compute a new hash value that begins with 3 zeros. Well, what about beginning with 3 0 means? Say as we discussed that the hashes are deterministic in nature. It means for a given input we get same output. Then the output, the hash value will always remain same. How the hash value will differ if the input doesn't change? And the other side we are mentioning the rule in the blockchain that it should begin with fixed number of zeros, 3 zeros, 6 zeros, something like that. So to achieve this, there is something known as this difficulty level. To achieve this, we have to go on creating new hash value. So what we should change? We change something what is known as a nonce or junk or a nonsense value. It is called different names: nonce, junk, any value, or like random value. So this random value is like a brute force. Means you try 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Go on giving. So none of the data is changing here except the junk value. None of the data changes except the junk value. If the junk value changes, the hash value also will change. So junk value, go on incrementing it randomly so that ultimately we come across you meet the required need of 3 zeros. If I make it 5 zeros or 4 zeros, my machine may get it may take a lot of time, right? I have given 4 zeros now. We can see it's taking a lot of time. 6 zeros is the Bitcoin rule of putting 6 zeros. So we are creating the block creation challenging. We are creating the block creation difficult. That's a difficulty level. So now my system goes on computing new hash value so that the hash value should begin with 4 zeros. So for that, we are just increasing some random value I'm taking, and I go on incrementing it. Initially the nonce value is 0, then I go on incrementing the nonce value, right? You can see nonce plus plus. So 0, 1, 2, 3, it's a junk value. It has no meaning. Its only role is to modify the hash value, because we cannot modify any data. We can only modify the junk value. So like that, my laptop may take some more time. I will kill this process. Control C I will do. So that's how the difficulty level is there. So that's the challenge which is accepted by the miner, and that's how he gets rewarded, because he's using his computer, he's using his internet, and he's analyzing all the blocks. One by one block, he's going through the loop, checking they're intact, then he's adding a new block, so he gets rewarded. There are some specialized hardware available now called mining hardware also. I think somebody might have touched about that in the sessions. So it's called as a mining hardware, which is specially made for the blockchain, right? So in the available time, let me quickly summarize the application of blockchain. So something known as smart contract, I think it's already discussed. So smart contract is all about some set of rules that get executed when a condition is met. Say for example, you want to auction your car. You are the owner of the car, Maruti car. You want to, it is old, it is in good condition, it is old, but you want to sell it now. You want to go for a different brand, and you want, and assume you are using blockchain network to sell the car, right? So you quote initial price of 50,000 rupees, and some person A, he may say that, well, you have shared its photos also, photos of the car you have shared. He may say that, well, I liked your car, I will pay, like in OLX, we just quote the price. So he will say, I will pay for 70,000 rupees. Person B, he may say, I will pay 80,000 rupees. Person C, he'll say that I will pay 1 lakh rupees. Initial price you have mentioned 50,000, then you got a good price of 1 lakh rupees. Well, even you are not that greedy, you agreed for 1 lakh rupees, you close the bidding process. So when you close the bidding process, right, since we are working on this blockchain network, currently the car is in your name in the RTO, right? The insurance is in your name in the RTO, and like that, the car is with you, you are the custodian, all documents are with you. But when you stop this bidding process, ideally person C will be the winner of the bid, because he is the highest bidder, 1 lakh rupees is ready to pay you, and the ownership should get changed to him. So in the RTO records, your name should be changed as person C. Now, C is a new owner now. C becomes a new owner, right? And the amount should get transferred in the bank from C's account to your account, right? Even in the insurance, vehicle insurance, all other records accordingly, the respective action is to be taken. So these are some set of business rules to be executed as soon as some condition is met. So this we call as a smart contract, right? So with that knowledge, I think we already touched this, how to check the blockchain is valid. Then we'll come to the something known as then some startups are there in the Bangalore, wherein this is a slide wherein we can appreciate the blockchain. So there's a startup by name Param, wherein they want to apply blockchain to a multi-billion dollar challenge, like or the problem which everybody faces, which is invoice processing, right? So invoice processing is globally taken as a $550 billion huge work project. It is 90% of that invoices, they are usually handled manually, and it's all heterogeneous. Some people use Tally, some people use some other in-house ERP, some people use like a standard ERP like SAP, some people they use Excel sheet only. It's all heterogeneous way of maintaining the invoices now. So the Param startup, they want to cut down the cost of $11 to $15 per invoice what is being paid now, for processing of the invoice. From the invoice is to be cleared, ultimately invoice to be cleared and the payment is to be made. So invoice clearing is a huge process. So by using blockchain we can bring it to $6. So that's how they are calling it as a permissioned blockchain. Permission means there remains a central entity. It is not like anonymous, it goes via some agent, right? So that way some startups are working. Well, as sir mentioned, Anand sir mentioned, I was working for election office earlier, Election Commission of India CEO office in Bangalore, and there even the election office is recently they had a webinar. I attended the webinar. So even they want to use blockchain for voting process, right? So that removes the corruption from the elections, and the total fraud happens in election that we can prevent if you use blockchain. And well, there are a few countries who are already using the blockchain for election purpose. There is a university in Germany wherein they are using blockchain to distribute the marks cards, and India is coming with India Chain, and Niti Aayog is just exploring the possibility of using blockchain for medicines so that we can prevent the spurious or the fake medicine being landing in the hands of our end users. So fake medicines, how we can prevent using the blockchain. So that way, this link on slide number 33 gives you the big list of all possible examples, practically, which you can share with the students. And well, this is a Pythonic example. In the interest of time, I may have to skip the Python example of the blockchain. And I got certified recently by IBM on the blockchain. And well, I think I'm done with this. I'll just stop over here. In the given available time, I was able to touch this much only. Like in some places, I give like a 3 to 4 hours webinar with 2 breaks. So there I cover some part of Python also. So I just conclude over here. I thank once again the management for giving me the opportunity, and just wait for I'll be happy to take out any of the questions if you have.
Participants, if you have any queries regarding today's afternoon session, you can ask. Hello? If there are any queries, you can ask him.
No, sir, no queries.
No queries. Sheikh Sharif. No queries. Okay, Mayur. So the given time. So have you covered all the topics until now? Whatever that you are supposed to do?
Yes, sir. Perfect, sir. Python takes some 1 more hour. I think in the
One
interest
more
of time,
hour.
I have to just links are available. It needs some practical approach wherein people should ideally install Python and try it out. Yeah.
Okay. So any other? Will you share this PPT with me? So because I need to share with the participants.
Yes, sir. I have sent you as a WhatsApp as a PDF format, sir. I already sent, sir.
You already sent, huh?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So if anybody, if you don't have any queries, so I'm going to wind up today's session now. Okay. On this note,
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank all the participants, those who have patiently waited for the third session. Okay, so from the management and from the Department of ISC, Malnad College of Engineering, Asan, I would like to thank the speaker, Mayur Patil, for his excellent and beautiful session, the evening session. Okay, so thank you, Mayur.
Thank you very much, sir. I thank all the audience for their patience listening. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Okay, so if there are any queries, so can you show your email ID and any phone numbers? If they want, means they can contact you directly. Hello, Mayur?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think I'll share my screen once again. I hope my screen is visible, sir. My screen is visible.
Your screen is not visible. So can you share that once again? If they want, means they can take your number.
Okay, I'm not able to share my screen. Okay, I'm not able to share my screen, sir.
Okay,
I'll do
no
one thing,
issues.
sir.
Okay,
Yeah, it is there in my blog only, sir. It is in my blog in the contact me. The blog link which I shared in the contact me, it is available, sir.
Okay, no issues. If they want your number, means I'm going to share your number. Okay, so thank you. So thank you, Mayur. So for the participants, so please give your valuable feedback for each session. Okay, so it is very important for me to upload in the AICT portal also. So tomorrow's sessions, so we have included another session. So we're not going to take much time because from 9:30 to 10:30 we will be having one session from Vellore Institute of Technology, Dorai Vincent. Okay, from 10:30 to 11 So hands-on session by a professor from BMSCE. Okay, Dr. Dakshayani madam. Okay, from 11:30 to 12:45 we'll be having one session from Dr. E.R. Manas. From 12:45 to 1 we're going to have with our validatory function. So we're going to wind up within afternoon itself only because of the time constraints, because it's on Saturday. So please do cooperate. Okay, so please don't miss tomorrow's sessions. So if you have any queries, you can ask, because the Mayur number is it has been displayed here itself only. Okay, once again, so thank you for your patience listening. Happy learning. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.